Hello and welcome to the October edition of Putting Out Fires. It's my honor and pleasure to be with you today to talk about a really important topic that I think you're going to find interesting and fun. A couple of incredible guests are going to be with me shortly, so sit back, relax, get ready, get that bowl of popcorn out, and we'll be starting the October edition of Putting Out Fires. Joining me today for the October edition are two incredible members. Jan Amayo is one of the founding members, I believe. She's going to give us a little bit more information about that of Camp Fury, along with Elaina Rojas. So welcome to you both, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
What a great day it is. Tell us about the purpose and the reason why there's a Camp Fury.
We want to empower young women, and we want to start with middle school, high school, and then show them that there are women in this field and they can do it too.
Very nice. And I think you have a military background as well that probably helps you understand the process of getting young ladies oriented to and being able to be effective in things like public service. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely, Chief. Yep.
So we're going to go real small answers, I take it.
Yeah, whatever you want me to answer.
Oh, no, I want you to talk about the experiences. Is there a parallel between what you did in the military? Thank you for your service. And you've mentioned you have two sons. Mm-hmm. Thank you for their service. But just like they say at every home game of the Kansas City Monarchs, when a member serves, the entire family serves. So thank you and your family. Fair statement. But is there any parallel between the two? Do you see any connectivity of being prepared to fight for our country, protect our country, to being able to be prepared for our community?
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about where I come from in the military. It was I was one of two females that decided to go and pursue that part of the military in the special operations. So at the time, it was a very foreign concept, and it was kind of cool to be a part of that and watch that transition as more women, the recruitment, the involvement, became more out there, and the information did, more women followed through. And so a lot of that, my experience with that, I kind of used that with Camp Fury, still a very male-dominant environment, just naturally. So the more that women see that there are other women in those positions, they kind of tend to follow through and they become interested, and you just kind of use your mentorship and leadership and experience.
Those 10 years in the Marine Corps, were you a combatant?
I guess you could say that.
I knew that answer, of course. And again, you were on the front lines and ready to bear arms to protect our nation.
Yes, Chief.
So that to me is so important. Again, so much deserving of our thanks. Go back to the beginning, if you will, of Camp Fury. What was it like?
We actually had Catching Fury the first time.
Catching Fury.
Yeah, so it was more for any middle school and high school girl that we could get. It was a great experience. We collaborated with Kansas City, Missouri, Fire Department and Police Department, which we still do. And there was KCKFD was there too. So as far as getting all the agencies together, it's been great, and the girls absolutely loved it. That was their first exposure to actually doing what we do and seeing females in those roles.
How many folks attended that very first session that you were at?
I believe there was around 20 girls.
Wow, that had to be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing all ranges of skills and abilities?
Yes.
So did everybody get through it okay?
Yeah, they did.
What's the goal?
The goal is just to expose them. They don't have to participate in some things that we do. It was a one-day camp, so it was just kind of like a snapshot. When we do the actual one-week camp, that's when we really get into the basically the nitty-gritty of it.
So Catching Fury is sort of like the sampler.
Yes.
Wow. And how many folks have we put through the program so far?
We've probably put over 100 girls.
Wow, that's incredible. What are some of the skills that a young lady's going to learn under your direction and tutelage?
So we focus a lot on what we call the cool guy skills. So the truck stuff, the search, rescue, ladders, hose operations, and even EMS we've implemented this year.
I appreciate EMS because I have to remind everybody, starting with me, about 80% of our work is EMS. So I think including young ladies and anyone of interest to join our department, to be immersed in EMS, to understand that they're going to be doing pretty much every aspect of emergency medical from the beginning of their career into the day that they retire. Probably pretty important. What do you think?
I think so. I don't want anybody to have the wrong idea about this job. Like I've explained to some of the girls that I've mentored, you know, we watch the movies, you see Chicago Fire, you see all the cool guy things, and you get to do those things. But it's important to realize that, like you said, 80% of the job is EMS, and you kind of have to develop a passion for that in order to make this job enjoyable and be good at it.
Excellent. What's one of the favorite skills that you enjoy teaching and watching people blossom as they learn that skill?
I think the favorite one is rappelling. Everybody loves to rappel because it's cool, and climbing the aerial. So those are the two.
And no intrepidation, or they were just ready to jump in there and do it
Oh,
immediately?
no, not
right
everybody. You know, a lot of them are like, we have to climb that ladder all the way up there. Because a lot of times we usually have them climb the ladder, get on the tower, and then they can rappel down. So, yeah, sometimes they're like, this is a long way up. So sometimes we'll just go right behind them. Just to build that confidence. That's all we're doing, is building that confidence. If they don't want to do it at this one, like we had a few girls that didn't do it at the first one, but by the third or fourth one, they went ahead and climbed it with no problem.
With the current class, I think we just had a huge success of a member joining our department.
Yes.
Can you brag a little?
Yes. So Alyssa Harris actually started out with us in June of 2019 on Catching Fury. She went to every single camp in Catching Fury that we have, and then graduated high school and then became a member of the KCKFD Fire Department.
Well, how is she doing? I think you're holding back a little on me.
She was actually amazing. She took everything that we gave her on the police side and fire side, and she just went with it. She did. She was always the first one to volunteer. She was always the first one to climb the aerial. She was the first one to work on the car stops, whatever we had to do. So, yeah,
Wow,
she's doing excellent. Now she's a trainee in EMT school.
And do many follow in the footpaths of the police department or fire, or is it both?
Well, right now we have 2 in the fire. We haven't had any go on the police side yet, but we do have one member that went to KC Mo Fire and then one that went to us.
Wow.
And then Alyssa's sister, she's a few years younger than her, actually is wanting to pursue the police side on KCK.
Wow, that's just absolutely exciting. What's next?
Well, I guess we're going to plan for the next one next year. I think there's some new things that we'd like to implement. And then personally, I mean, I know Jen and I have talked about this, possibly expanding this into more of a community effort, maybe developing an Explorer program out of this or something that our department has. To not just inspire just young women and young girls, but maybe young boys as well, get men involved and stuff, and as a community show that this is a job that you can pursue.
I should know this answer, and I don't. Are young ladies allowed to be part of the Explorer Scouts?
There are Explorer programs out there in
That
other
incorporate
departments.
young ladies?
Absolutely, boys and girls.
I'm very familiar with the Fire Department Explorers. The International Association of Fire Chiefs actually has some plans and guidance and direction that helps you with that. And the really cool part about being an Explorer Scout is I think you have to do one of 4 high adventures. And of course, you're urged or asked to participate in all 4. And they're all around the country from doing just some amazing things, whether it's camping or whitewater rafting or things like that. Sounds like a really exciting time for children that otherwise may never have that exposure.
Right. Yeah. And that was a big thing. I've gotten the opportunity to talk to some explorers, some in other departments in other states, and that was one of the big things they said. They've gotten the chance to travel, climb mountains, rappel off mountains, and do some of the cool things that most of the time they don't get to do, but also some of the cool parts of these fire departments, like their specialties, they get to participate in well.
Wow, that is really truly neat. With that said, there's an event coming up soon, I think you had mentioned.
Yeah, we just scheduled it. October 21st will be Catching Fury, so it'll be for the middle school girls. And then we will also have Camp Fury next June.
Wow, are the dates picked for next June?
No.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
We're working on it.
It usually
close.
is the second week of June, but we haven't. So we haven't made the initial or started the initial dates yet because it will be the 15th year that Camp Fury has been around. So a lot of what we are called instructors are all going to support the chiefs. The two chiefs, which is Chief Cheryl Horvath and Chief Laura Baker, who started the program 15 years ago. We're all going down to Tucson to help with that 15th annual program.
When will that be?
That is the
next year.
May of 24. So it's the last week of May, Memorial Day weekend.
Having just a touch of experience in that area. Pack a lot of ice water.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be, as they say, a dry 120.
Yeah.
So you'll have a great time in Tucson, and I'm glad that you're able to get out and do that. What can the department do to continue to support you and this incredibly important project? I'll start with you first, Jen, and ask you, Elaina, to comment.
Yeah. I would say just get the word out. We need more female firefighters, volunteers for our department and then local departments too. Our goal would be awesome to have our own one day. But I think try to think how to put it. So I think some people have a misconception of really what this is. This really isn't like girl time. We're in there showing them the skills and what it takes really to be a firefighter. Yeah, we have to work twice as hard. We have to use our body differently. But that's where the other females come in. We need those mentors. We've had incredible support, especially this year was the best support we've ever had between our local union, Local 64, and the FRA has been tremendous help as well. So we appreciate that.
What else can we do that we're not doing?
The biggest thing, like Jen said, was we need more support. We need more women to join us and get out there, more mentors. Another thing was, get these girls on ride-alongs. Develop a program where we can get these girls on ride-alongs, and show them what we do, show them the community and how we operate as a fire department.
And we're set up to do that, correct? So
Partially.
I don't think there's any barrier. Tell me about partial. I don't understand.
I think there's making it more, making the process a little more streamlined. So being able to have them call a number and set it up themselves and everything, getting that information out there and making it a little bit more accessible, because I think right now there's a lot of people are confused on how to make that happen. And some people that can turn them away. So if we can make it as easy as possible to get these girls on there.
I bet you we can. You don't know what you don't know until you know it. So that's a little bit of a surprise to me. When the Fire Rescue International was here way back in August, we had visitors come in as far away as Georgia and New York, and it was streamlined. But I also know that they contacted me and asked if they could ride along. And the letters and notes are still pouring in, and how much they appreciate the opportunity to be a part of our fire department, even if it was for a day. So I hope we can get to that same level with Camp Fury and young women that are looking for the opportunity. We're always a product of where we have come from, fair statement. Yes. And Washington had their own program. Quite frankly, I didn't know about Camp Fury. But during my years as fire chief there, they did a 1-week academy for young ladies, but it was always a sleepover. In other words, when they arrived on a Monday morning. When they went home, it was Sunday afternoon of that week. They had a full immersion into everything. They rode at companies at nighttime, for instance. It was led by a really talented battalion chief who went on to become a deputy, and she retired as a deputy fire chief. But will we get to that point, or is there any thought? I'm going to ask you first, and then next we'll ask Jen.
I would love to actually get to that point, to be able to put them on a rig at night and see a different side, right? Because these girls, they see the fire trucks come down the street in the daytime. Maybe they've even got to ride on them, and they get maybe 1 or 2 calls. But, some of our stations, as you guys know, the bulk of our calls come in at night, and it would be nice to be able to get these women on these rigs to kind of experience that. And I love that idea. I think you're getting the full experience right there of what it is to be a firefighter 24/7.
And especially having the facilities at Station 6 with the training center, of course, the young lady slept on cots, which I know perhaps not the most comfortable, but it cost us nothing but a little bit of time and a little bit of energy. They actually slept in the apparatus bay at the fire training center. We have DC has not we anymore, but I guess I'll always be a part, but they have a very large training center, as you might guess. And I think everybody really enjoyed that. What's your opinion of having some mechanism to allow folks to come and spend the night for several nights?
Oh, I would love that. That, like Elaina said, just have that full experience, because we teach them all these little skills, from how to put gear on to how to deploy a hose, how to go in and do search and rescue. So if they get to actually see that, and the run a medical call. So we teach them CPR, we teach them how to bandage people, splint, all that kind of stuff. So if they can get to see that in action, I think that would be very beneficial. And I think that would also help with our recruiting.
So you know that I'm going to challenge you both to at least incorporate one stay over, if possible, longer. And I think that we would have the resources. I'm going to guess, I think it was a 12. I think there was a dozen folks in the last class.
Yes.
I had the honor of being there and watching them graduate. Thank you for allowing me to do that. But I think we could very comfortably, at least for a night, if not a little bit longer, house some ladies in terms of that numbers. Of course, we need a couple of supervisors there, and I'm sure that you guys would be more than willing to do that as well.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Well, any thoughts or comments you want to close with about Camp Fury, perhaps its importance and what support you'd want the average firefighter to provide?
Yeah, so it's greatly important. So just getting out in the community and letting these girls see that they can do it too. So this mentorship has been amazing. In fact, we're starting to get national news. So we were actually, Camp Fury KC was featured in Fire Rescue 1 magazine. And Alyssa Harris, which is our trainee, is actually going to be also featured in the International Association of Fire Chiefs, their manual, I believe, as far as recruiting. So I would just say we need support. And as for the female firefighters, we need more of that support. Right now, we have great support on the command staff and our local union and FRA. Just more hands-on out there, because the more women we can get out there in front of them, I think that just builds that confidence in them that I can do this.
Excellent. Ms. Elaina, closing comments?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to thank everybody that's supported this last couple of years. It means a lot. The union and FRA have really been a big assistance to us. The only thing, if we can get more women out on our side for KCKFD, that would be wonderful, because it does make an impact. As you said, we have Alyssa, I have a few in the queue right now coming up. And the more volunteers and mentors we can get, the more women and recruits we can get into this program. And not just recruits, but quality recruits,
So I'm going to challenge you both to hopefully host some sort of an overnight event, if not longer. And secondly, I hope that you would reach out to every one of our female members and ask them to participate. Maybe it's for a day, maybe it's for a couple of hours, or maybe it's to do what you do, to help hose from beginning to end. Is that a fair statement? Can I get the commitment from both of you to do that?
I think so, Chief.
I think that would be a lot of fun. If there's no last thoughts, I'll close out the session today. There you go. October edition is in the can, as they say. What a great presentation by two really important members that are doing an incredible job to make certain that our organization is very representative of the community that we serve. Female firefighters are here to stay. It's amazing to look around the country and the great leadership that has come out of the female members in different organizations, and I expect nothing less of ours as we move forward. So with that said, putting out fires, October edition is finished. I'm Dennis Rubin. Please be safe out there. Please take care of one another. Remember our mission statement. It starts with preventing harm. Next, we want you to thrive and survive. And then finally, please be nice and be kind on every event that you go to, whether it's the worst medical call or the best fire call, however you want to put it into perspective when you're out dealing with folks in the street, and probably ought to do that in your personal life as well. With that said, thanks, and tune in next month to see what's on putting out fires in the Kansas City, Kansas Fire Department. And now it's your turn to speak directly to the fire chief with burning questions. The first burning question today comes from...
Hi, I'm Kelly Littlefield. I'm a fire inspector and the INFRS program coordinator here at Fire Headquarters. My question for Chief Rubin is, will there ever be a receptionist at Fire Headquarters again? The reason for my question is when people come to the building, if there's no one there to greet them, they kind of wander around and look helpless until someone happens along to find out what they need.
Thank you, Kelly Littlefield from Fire Prevention. That's another great question that we'll tackle today as well. I love the idea of having somebody as a receptionist to greet our guests when they come into the station. We can perhaps take a look at folks that might be in some type of a light duty capacity to fill that position. Although I agree with it, the ability to assign a person there permanently and to have the funding just isn't available. Perhaps maybe we could even move a person that can do desk work into that area and rotate the person so they wouldn't have to be isolated from the rest of the group there. But maybe we can come up with a creative way of trying to have somebody to greet our guests, folks in need, typically looking for fire reports and other fire prevention information when they enter the building. Again, thanks for that question, Kelly.
Jose Rodriguez, firefighter, EMT. I have a question of why are we having so many take-home cars on the department?
That's a great question, firefighter Jose Rodriguez at Truck 7 on number 2 shift. We constantly are taking a look at resources such as take-home cars. There are some rules that apply, and I've been told that time in the past we have violated those rules. So we'll try to make sure that we take a look at that and begin to bring accountability. Accountability, making certain that the cars are used for their intended purposes and that there's no abuse. Now, why do we need those cars? The idea is to have a ready reserve fleet of command officers that can return to duty for a significant event, whether it's a medical or a fire. For instance, if the reclamation fire would have been at night, the idea is that second alarm was struck for many of the members to return back to duty. I will do my due diligence to make sure that everyone is reappraised of the fact that they have a take-home car as a privilege and a responsibility, and it's not a gift. And I've heard that often. But the balance on the other end is that they've got to be available. They've got to respond back. And on days that they're actually assigned to a position to come back, they also have to not have alcohol. Let me put it up that straightly. But the idea overall is that we can bring back a significant amount of people to help with a disaster. On the other end, accountability is critically important. And just keep your eye on us as we try to, again, maintain accountability for the entire system, not just the command officer. So once again, thanks, Firefighter Rodriguez, for such a great question. All right, that has it. That's a wrap, as we say in the business. Truly appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule to be a part of Putting Out Fires.